Have you ever poured your heart into something, only to watch others try to bury it? Literally. That's what happened to me. I'm Daniel Hayes, a quiet, middle-aged man who just wanted peace on his late father's land. But what the HOA did next, well, it's something you'll have to see to believe. Before we get into the madness, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because what happened next changed not just my life, but an entire neighborhood's fate. It started 2 years ago when I inherited my father's 5-acre property on the outskirts of Crestwood Hills, a gated community where the lawns were perfect, the fences uniform, and the smiles often fake. My father had refused to join the HOA for years, insisting, "No one tells me what to do on my own land." After his passing, I tried to respect that. I fixed up the farmhouse, restored the red barn, and even planted a small orchard. But it didn't take long before I caught the HOA's attention. At first, it was small things. A polite letter about community appearance. Then another about unauthorized fencing. I ignored them. After all, I wasn't part of their association. My property sat right outside their jurisdiction line, something my father had made sure of when he bought it decades ago. But apparently, that didn't stop the HOA president, a woman named Karen Morrow, from trying to assert her power. She came by one morning, wearing her designer sunglasses and that signature HOA smirk. "Mr. Hayes," she said, glancing at my handmade mailbox like it offended her, "this property is an eyesore. It doesn't reflect the standards of Crestwood Hills. We'd appreciate your cooperation in bringing it up to code." I laughed softly. "Mom, I'm not under your HOA. My land's private." Her smile tightened. "We'll see about that." I didn't think much of it then. But weeks later, strange things started happening. My delivery trucks were misdirected. Someone slashed my irrigation hose. Then, one morning I woke up to a noise. Grinding heavy machinery echoing through the air. When I stepped outside, my jaw dropped. A deep trench, at least 4 feet wide and several feet deep, was being dug around my property's border. Yellow bulldozers, marked Crestwood Hills Maintenance, were tearing up my soil like it was theirs. Workers ignored me as I shouted for them to stop. I could feel anger boiling through me, disbelief gripping my chest. I stormed over to Karen's house later that day, covered in mud. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" I shouted as she opened her manicured door. "Oh, Daniel," she said sweetly. "We're just improving drainage for the neighborhood. You wouldn't want flooding to affect your property, would you?" Flooding. It was October. There hadn't been rain for weeks. But when I called the county office to complain, they said there was no record of an authorized dig. That's when I knew this wasn't maintenance. It was intimidation. They wanted to isolate me, make my land worthless, force me to sell so they could extend the HOA boundary and flip it for profit. Little did they know, I wasn't just a farmer's son. I was a systems engineer. Before moving back, I had installed a full network of 4K motion-activated cameras around the entire property. Front gate, orchard, barn, even the tree line. Every shovel they lifted, every word they spoke, every smirk Karen gave to her contractors was captured in crystal clear footage. That night, I sat in my small living room, watching the video files in silent fury. The time-stamped evidence showed HOA board members in suits directing the dig. One man even laughed, saying, "He'll sell for pennies once he sees the mess we made." I didn't sleep that night, but I smiled for the first time in days. They thought they could bully me quietly. They didn't realize I had the truth on record. Over the next few days, I backed up every clip to the cloud, to hard drives, to USBs, everywhere. Then, I went to war. I sent the footage anonymously to the County Environmental Board, the local news, and a property rights lawyer who'd fought the HOA before. The fallout came fast. A county investigator arrived unannounced at the HOA office, followed by 2 news vans. Karen tried to play it off, but when the footage aired on the evening news, her standing next to the trench with her clipboard, grinning like she owned the place. The whole town knew. I thought that would be the end of it. But I was wrong. The HOA wasn't done yet. And what they did next would test everything I had left. My patience, my peace, and my father's legacy. After the footage went viral, I became both a local hero and a target. People stopped by to shake my hand, to tell me I'd done the right thing standing up to them, but others, HOA loyalists, started leaving notes on my fence. Sell before it gets worse. Someone even poured nails across my driveway one night. But I refused to give in. I rebuilt the fence. I filled the trench myself with a rented excavator. I worked from sunrise to sunset, refusing to let them win. My father used to say, "A man's land is his voice. Let no one silence it." His words kept me going. One evening, as I was locking the barn, I noticed headlights slowly creeping up the road. It was Karen's black SUV. She parked at the edge of my property and stepped out in heels, holding a folder. "Mr. Hayes," she began, her tone suddenly soft. "We may have gotten off on the wrong foot." I laughed bitterly. "Is that what you call digging a moat around someone's home?" She ignored the jab. "Would like to make this right. The HOA board has decided to offer you a generous settlement. $500,000 for your land. $500,000. It was tempting. More money than I'd ever seen. But I saw the trap. Once I sold, they'd bulldoze my orchard, level my father's barn, and build cookie-cutter houses. I looked her dead in the eye. "Tell your board to go to hell." Her face twisted, that polished charm cracking. "You'll regret that," she hissed before driving off. The next week, the threats turned into sabotage. My power line was mysteriously cut. My mailbox was smashed. But I had upgraded my cameras, now with night vision and motion alerts. One night, the alert went off at 20:14 a.m. I watched in real time as two men, wearing HOA maintenance jackets, snuck up to my back gate with gas cans. I didn't hesitate. I called the sheriff and grabbed my truck keys. By the time I reached the road, red and blue lights were flashing. The officers caught them red-handed, literally, trying to set fire to my shed. When questioned, they confessed everything. Karen had authorized them to scare me off. The next morning, the sheriff himself stopped by. "Son, I think you just took down the most corrupt HOA in the county," he said, shaking my hand. The footage once again made headlines. Karen was arrested for conspiracy vandalism and trespassing. The HOA board dissolved within weeks, buried under lawsuits from angry residents who realized where their fees had been going. And me? I stood at the edge of my rebuilt orchard one cool morning, watching the sun rise over the land my father loved. The trench was gone, filled and seeded with grass. For the first time in years, the property was silent, peaceful. But the story didn't end there. A month later, the county invited me to speak at a public hearing about homeowners' rights. Standing at that podium, looking out at dozens of faces, some sympathetic, some skeptical, I told them everything. "Property isn't just dirt and fences," I said. "It's history. It's legacy. When we let greed bury our values, we lose more than land. We lose who we are." People clapped. Some even cried. And as I drove home, I passed the old trench line, now covered in wildflowers. It reminded me that sometimes, what's buried can bloom again, if you stand your ground long enough. So, if you ever feel small against powerful people, remember this truth leaves footprints that no trench can hide. And if you believe in standing up for what's right, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Because stories like this remind us that no one, not even the HOA, can dig deep enough to bury the truth.